Welcome to Kwaminat TV again. Today, too, I'm here with another episode. I'm here with an extraordinary person. I mean, this guy has a unique voice. He's a he's a fighter. I can say he's a fighter. A fighter like someone who was born different, but as I said, because he's a fighter and a survivor, he's still alive. He's going to tell you much about his story. But before then, I will introduce you to Nana Marfo. But if you are not member of Kwaminat TV, be a member today. I mean, if you are not member of Kwaminat TV, kindly subscribe, hit the red button, give me thumbs up. I mean, let us promote Africa, also talk about things that happen day-to-day life, and also give advice to other people who want to come to the motherland. Today, I'm going straight to UK. Queen's, oh, now Queen is no more there. May her soul rest in peace. I'm going to King's country, and exactly in London, to talk to this wonderful person. Nana, Ma.
Hello.
Nana,
How are you?
if you are with me here, I will shake your hand. But you are not here, so I will wave you. Yeah, that's it. Nana,
Hello.
we're going to go straight. Who is Nana? Who is Nana Marfo?
Nana Marfo is a unique human being born with tribulations and barriers that could have easily prevented me from actually being here today. My purpose and meaning of being here has been very emotional, very difficult. It's been a journey. I'm a unique human being.
Unique human being, as I
Yes.
said. But this is Diaspora Talk. Anywhere you are, if you want to talk to Kwaminat TV, take a phone, call, send us email, Instagram, any social media network that you want to connect with us, you can do that. And we'll reach you just like we have reached Mr. Marfo or Nana Marfo that we are talking to. We are going to go into, when someone say unique human being, what is unique? Anything unique is something different. I mean, you guys can define it on your own, but something, and yet it's different. It's different. He will say, I don't know much about Nana. For first, Nana will tell us why he is unique. Nana, you tell us where you are.
I'm based in South London.
And tell us why you are unique. You are Ghanaian. I think
Yes.
so.
Yes, Ghanaian.
Have you
Ghanaian,
been
born to Ghanaian parents.
Oh, so you were born in England.
Yes.
You were born in UK.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Just tell us. Tell us. You were born in. Sorry.
I was born in England.
Mhm.
In the 80s. I'm not gonna give away my age.
No, don't do it.
Born to two Ghanaian parents who came from a small village called Japakrum. Born to a young mother at the time, 6 months premature at 26 weeks. Born with huge complications to my respiratory area. So in terms of breathing, and I think at the time, eating was a problem at the time. When I was born, it was established that I don't think I had my first cry because I couldn't breathe. So if I can't breathe and they can't actually hear me, I don't think I actually had my first cry. I was straight away taken to theatre when I was born. My airway was surgically operated on, and I needed to have a device called a tracheostomy, which is a tube in my neck which enables me to breathe and speak. But at the time, as a child, it enabled me to breathe. Um,
Nana,
having a
Nana, hold
child,
on.
uh,
Nana, hold on.
uh,
You were born in 6 months. It's a premature.
yeah,
So every premature child goes to incubator.
yes,
But in your case, you couldn't breathe
yes,
because before they put you in incubator, you have to breathe first
yeah,
or even cry.
yes,
But in your case, you couldn't breathe.
no,
So they have to operate you straight away
yeah,
from birth.
from birth.
Wow, you are unique. And you are sitting down here talking to me today.
Even the mere fact of me having a voice alone is a miracle in itself.
Yes, because anyway, let's go. I just want to
um,
get that out very clear because someone who can breathe is basically more or less dead.
more or less.
Let's go. Guys, I think this one is going to be a bit emotional when you see me crying, please. Nana,
Um,
let's
so born at 6 months. For those that not everybody's good with maths. It's 26 weeks early. Um, I don't remember the whole surgical process. Obviously, I was a baby at the time, but I know it was a stressful period for my mother. I think she was in her early 20s at the time. She'd only been here 2 years, so we're talking at late 70s, heading into 80s. So she was still getting used to the country, getting used to the system. Back then, there wasn't such things as mobile phones. To call back home was through a telegram. For those that are old enough to remember that. And she didn't have a support mechanism to support her. All her family was back home, and it was just her and my father. Um, Most parents give birth to their kids, and they have a nice emotional, bonding time, and they go home. For me, that wasn't the case. For me, I had to stay in an incubator for 2 years, 2.5 years,
2.5
because
years.
Mhm.
Let's go.
2.5 years because I hadn't fully developed. And at that time, someone of my condition, the medical institutions over here at that time were not as confident and diverse as they are today. So to release me into community and let my mom get on with it was very was a situation that was very apprehensive to them as medical geniuses. And to release a child with complications to a mother, first time mother, was a worry to my mom. So for my mother, it was a thing where she needed to be confident that she could take care of me with extra support from the hospital. So it took 2 years for me to be actually strong enough to be in the community, be in the home.
You always mention your mother, your mother. Where was your father at that time?
My father was part of the journey. He supported my mom as best as he could at the time. Um, I think he found it difficult, a bit more difficult than my mother. um, because he didn't want me to suffer. So I think he found it very complicated to comprehend with and understand that I've been given birth, I'm in an incubator, I've got a tube in my neck. How will it impact my future? So he was hands on, but I think he also had grave concerns about my survival rate.
Um, come to think of it, you spent 2 years
Mhm,
in the hospital.
mhm. Yeah,
Normally, a child within 2 years, they started walking, talking. What is that? What about that one? Did you come
so
out walking or trying to crawl or something like this? Did your parents tell you something about this?
I think I started crawling at 3. Um, Speech for me was a unique journey in itself. So people started making their first words. I had to go to speech therapy to learn how to talk because obviously my way of talking wasn't the natural way, or my way of projecting sound wasn't the natural, you know,
Way.
daddy, mommy. It wasn't that. That wasn't my path, or as Ghanaians would say, that wasn't my portion.
Yeah. That's,
uh,
that's a question. Yeah.
so I had to do a lot of speech therapy as a young toddler slash baby.
So basically, so you'll be walking around within 5 years. You start
Yeah,
walking out within five
yeah,
years,
yeah.
and speech, talking.
Speech came around 5 when I was 5, 6. I would say.
What about school? So around that time, you start school year one, which is or reception, or normally in England they do. Either you go to year one or you go to reception. So
Yeah,
how does it? Yeah, you started school over there,
I I
and
started I started reception.
mhm.
That there was no problems with reception.
And at that
Um,
time, do you still have the this thing on your neck?
yes,
Okay.
yes. It never left my neck. I had it. I had a different version of what I've got now. So
Mhm.
initially, the one I had blended in with my skin tone. So people didn't really realize I had a hole in my neck unless you listen to how I was breathing. You'd realize, oh, has he got a cold? Why is he breathing loud?
Yeah,
Even your guest today will hear that I'm breathing a bit heavy.
yeah.
A lot of people assumed I've got a cold or I've got asthma as as
Or
God
you
is related,
or you run, yeah, or you
or
run too fast, yeah.
I'm running too fast, or I've overexerted myself.
Let me ask you this: if you are not now that I'm talking to you now,
Mhm.
you get tired talking to me like this, or you just normal. I'm just chipping in this. I just want to know.
Uh, when I initially had the tracheostomy as a child, yes, I found it difficult managing speech and controlling my breathing. As I've got older over the years, I've learned to balance it so I can talk for long periods of time and it doesn't affect my breathing so much. But you can hear me breathing heavily, but it doesn't mean the impact is as major as I sound.
If you reach a time that you want to stop, just let me know because this
Okay.
is an interesting story
Yeah.
and it's a unique story as well. I
Yeah.
have never come across this before.
Yeah.
So you explain it a bit for people out there or parents out there in case something like this happen, how they will stand and
Yeah.
also how people will work it out.
Hmm.
If yeah, I don't know the correct word, but work it out with this type of situation because in our part of society, let me say in Ghana, for example, if you are disabled or disadvantaged child, if you even if you don't take time, those days they'll go
Let
and throw
me
you out. Yeah,
let me
they'll
let
go
me
and
let
throw
me
you.
let me
Yeah.
correct you slightly. The wording. So, disability is a medical term used by European doctors. I never see myself as disabled. Disabled means you're disbroken or you're disconnected. I like to use the term unique because it's a unique journey. It's a unique way of living. So I tend to tell people, let's move away from the word disability because it's a medical term used in the 90s and in the mid 80s. We're trying to dissociate ourselves from being seen as a discord or broken.
Um, let's go to schooling.
Mhm.
Schooling. Did you school in England? Or and also I can I can hear that sometimes you can speak to the local language.
Oh, yeah,
Was
me
your
too.
life always in England or you've been to Ghana before?
So I went to school, primary school over here, from class 1 to 6.
Mhm.
And then when I got to the age of 10, 19, early 90s, um, I went to Ghana.
So
But
that
I
means
know
year
year
one to
one.
year 6, then
Yep.
year 7 you came to
Yes.
Ghana.
Year 7, I went to Ghana. I didn't do year 7 over here.
And why Ghana?
Um, so as I was growing, the consultants gave my parents an option as I was still developing. They gave them an option to either take out my tube and live without the whole complications and see if me developing my airway would develop with me. So my father took the choice of taking me home to learn the culture and understanding where I came from because I was so used to fresh milk and cornflakes and thinking, life was simplistic and easy. Whilst where I came from, my motherland, life was completely different. So I think it's more of my father wanted to educate me of where I came from and understand the ramifications that life had two sides, just like a coin. So at that tender age, I left the UK. Even before I went to the UK, I think I've sped up a bit. Even before I went to the UK, I know people will be thinking, "Oh, he went to Ghana with his trachea." No, the trachea got taken out. At that time, my structure was strong enough. I went to live in Ghana. For the first 4 years in Ghana, life was sweet. Ghana for Beka. Um, Not living in there.
Yes,
So, you know,
life is sweet.
life is sweet. I got to live in a hot country 365 days a year, not worrying about wearing a jumper like I'm wearing now or thinking about heating,
Was
chasing
the,
guinea.
was the hose still there when you came to Ghana, or it is healed,
It was
or you
already
were
sealed.
breathing?
It
Oh,
was
so you
already
were breathing
sealed.
normally from your nose, like the
Yes,
way
I'd
in your
learned
mouth.
to breathe through my nose.
Oh,
I'd
okay.
learned to adapt and breathe through my nose. So by the time I came, I was breathing through my nose. That journey in itself was difficult because for so many years, from birth till now or till then, when I immigrated to
So
Ghana, I'd been
within
breathing
10
through
and
a tube.
11.
Yep, I'd been breathing through a tube. So when they took it out, my body was panicking. My mind was panicking. The body was panicking. How do I breathe through my nose? The nose was just like a fashion decoration. And then now I had to learn how to use it. So that was a journey in itself.
Tell us a bit about that journey.
So it was all about controlling my breathing and trying to breathe through my nose. Me having the tube now, I only use my nose 10%. So I can only breathe 10% through my nose. When I didn't have the tube, I had to retrain myself to breathe 100% through my nose. And it was the most traumatic, exhausting time to teach your body to use an upper limb that you've never used. You've never had to think of using. I had to train my
Did you
brain.
have to? Yeah. Did you have to do that in UK or in England before you came to Ghana, or the moment they took the thing, you just came, your parents just brought you to Ghana straight?
No, I had to learn how to do it. The wound had to heal effectively before I could even think about flying.
All right. Okay. So tell us about Ghana. Where did you live in Ghana? Where were you in Ghana?
So I lived in Accra, in a place called Roman Ridge. At the time, my father worked as an accountant for the Coca-Cola company. So I lived and schooled in Ghana. Schooled in a private school.
In Ghana.
Yes.
So how many years did you live in Ghana?
5 years.
And why did you go back?
I went back because my health disintegrated. Everything, the structure, my breathing, it just went wrong.
After 5 years.
After 5 years. So I had good living for 4 years, I'd say. My 5th year is when everything started to fail.
So you were going to school in somewhere in Ridge, or are you okay?
I was going to school in North Kaneshi, a school called St. Teresa's, private school.
Okay. And you find amazing. I'm home. I'm free. I can move anytime. You can. You are free at that time.
Oh yeah. I can move around. My dad didn't need to worry when I went out. Learned to climb mango trees. Learned to get my own mango. Chasing guinea fowls. Chasing chicken. Eating fresh chicken at that. Didn't have to wait like England. The chicken had been in the freezer for 3-4 months, maybe more than that.
Yes. So where was your mom at that time? You came only with your dad, or where was your mom? Or your mom was also in Ghana?
So my mom took me to Ghana.
Okay.
And then she had to come back because she had a job. She was still working. She was working as a living carer for old people at the time.
Yeah. And was your dad working here?
My dad was working in Ghana, yes.
All right. Okay. And when you came to Ghana in the beginning, how was the whole scenario? Like how did people look at you? Because the moment you were born, probably people will hear from home that you were secular, or you were unique, or you were a different person. How did anyone talk about it? Or did you go to Japakrom? What?
Yeah, I went to I think firstly when I arrived, looking at me, you couldn't tell there was something wrong. But if you were around me for some time, I'd say 5, 10, 20 minutes, you'd hear the loud breathing. So I had a lot of people, some of my dad's colleagues and their families. Oh, why is Nana breathing like this? Oh, is he okay? Is he all right? I had little comments like that. When I made my grand entrance to Japakrom to see where my parents came from, people were looking at me strange, looking at me funny. because the news had traveled back then when I was in the incubator
Wow.
that
Yeah.
my mother had given birth to a snake-like bodied individual.
Yeah. I
So,
know what that's what I was saying, that when in Africa here, we see things different. They see things different at that time. That when you were born and you look different, even here, you know what they will even think about you, and that is why I want to know, because people has to know that giving birth to a different type of, I mean, or something different doesn't mean that it's not a human being, or it's something that is, or let me say a disability. It's
mhm, of
it's it's something that it's born to happen,
course.
and it's not something like it's unusual.
Mhm.
It's just like, as you said, some parts didn't form well.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let's go from Japakrum. Let's jump how you, after 4 years and you went back, after 5 years and you went back. What happened before you left back to England? What happened?
So I started to have major chronic headaches. Um, I thought maybe I'd been overdoing it. Um, maybe, during my time in school, I'd overexerted myself and hence I was getting headaches. Um, it kept on persisting and getting greater and greater. Um, Coming back was a bit of a complex situation because, according to my father, at the time he thought I was fine, um, but that wasn't the case. Within myself, as a child, I didn't quite know that things were disintegrating and things were happening. I knew I was having severe headaches, but that was about it. So eventually, my mother sent someone to come and get me, to come on holiday. I was meant to come here on holiday and just get checked over and go back. But when I came and we done an extensive search of my medical history, because I hadn't been here for so long, my medical history was in another part of London because we used to live in East London at the time. And when I came back, my mother had moved to South. So we had to do long, treacherous. There was no such thing as the internet where you can click a button and
Oh yeah,
information was sent.
that's it. Yeah,
Back then you had to go to the actual surgery where you were registered and actually get your files and
and
send it
bring
to
it
your,
the other side.
hospital. So that took a couple of weeks, I would say a month, even a little bit more, um, to connect with the consultants that I had to see. And when they saw me, they gasped with shock because I'd lost so much weight. I was very thin at the time. Um, so straight away, the consultant was like, whose care was I under? Um, did the person I was living with not know I was sick? Just by looking at me, you can tell there's something wrong. And coming from a Ghanaian family or our cultural beliefs, there's a saying where adults speak, children don't say nothing.
That's right.
So even for me to explain to the consultant that I lived with my dad, I found that difficult to say. So when she was questioning me, it's like my mouth was quiet.
Come
I
on for
was
sick.
allowing, I was allowing them to relay um, the questions to my mother because I couldn't,
Answer.
been conditioned
Yeah.
not to answer questions unless I was with or had been given acknowledgement by a parent.
And then what happened?
And then they decided that, due to how I looked and how I was breathing, and when they done some brief external observation, they were like, right, we need to go down and we need to see what's happening. When they went down, firstly, I felt free. When they opened up the airway and I woke up from the major brief surgery, the mere fact that I could just breathe, my whole area, respiratory area, was just free. I didn't feel the pressure of the breathing. And that was the first time I could sleep soundly without having a headache. However, when the consultants came to see me the following morning, I was told that if I stayed in Ghana an extra month, I would have
You will
died.
have died.
Reason being, reason being, there was limited oxygen going to my head. And that's why I was having severe headaches.
Indeed, you are unique. Indeed, you are a unique person. Because, hey, it doesn't happen to all people. People don't live within this. And our beliefs here in Africa, you will have just passed and they will say, oh, before being a kuno,
Oh, yeah.
they'll just push it to witchcraft.
Oh, yeah. Or the typical one which they tend to say is Obineyo, meaning someone within your family or your close circle is practicing witchcraft to eliminate you.
Oh. Keep watching Kwaminat TV, like, subscribe, and share. This is a story that I think everyone need to hear. Share to your brothers and sisters if you are not member of it. If you have any comments and if you have any question, also even to ask Marfo, you can comment on it, and I think he's going to answer you. Or his details will be on it, and I think you can ask him questions direct, as his details on it, his number is on it, email is on it, and his Unique Ability Limited company is also on it. And connect to him, because I think he's talking to me right now, but I think he can explain it better if you reach out to him. Let me go into this way. You are now, so you continue your education basically in England, South London, probably.
So when I came back, established that I wasn't going to go back because of the way the everything had happened. There was no way I was going to live back in Ghana. So I schooled here, but it wasn't that straightforward. Like just getting up, registering, filling out a form, and registering to a school. Because of my external needs as a person with a disability, my duty of care became great, and schools didn't want to take me on based on duty of care, based on if something happened, the school were to blame, or someone within a local authority were to blame. So even to get myself into a school within the United Kingdom became a next battle for my mother, who had to fight local governments in this country to ascertain that I had a disability, there was something wrong with me, and I needed support whilst I was gaining education. The local authority over here didn't quite understand. Um, they didn't want to pay someone to keep an eye on me whilst I was gathering my education. So for 2 years, before homeschooling became fashionable as it is now. It's commercial. Back then, it wasn't commercial. My mom argued and fought with local authorities to fund my educational needs at home. So I had a teacher who would come home and teach me, whilst my mom argued with the local government to understand that I could go to a mainstream school and compete with people who didn't have disabilities.
Okay.
But even
So,
before,
yeah, speak.
but even before all that, um, my primary schooling kind of went sideways. As a child, I didn't know I had a disability. I knew there
Yeah.
was a woman that used to follow me around. Um, you know, our culture, Ghanaians don't really know how to describe or speak about indifference or disability. So I'll give my mom credit. She didn't quite understand or how to enlighten and educate me on my condition. Um, my father, on the other hand, wanted me to get on with it. Yes, there's something wrong, but you know, get on with it. Life happens, kind of, bravado. Um, Secondary school, as I said, I was out for 2 years. Then finally, a school decided to say they were going to take a chance on me, um, for me to be able to go and have an equal level of education like my peers. But I had an extra body. So someone who would follow me just to make sure in case I was coughing, someone was there to help me clean my tube. At the time, I had a suction unit, a device. Uh, Ghana no, munya kata mo bro mo hwene na ahoro from hwene aba na mo
Yeah.
de ma papa.
Yeah.
But for me, I had to cough it out my tube. So someone
So,
needed to be there.
so
God,
you have someone with you all the time.
I had someone with me whilst I was on the school premises. And then obviously after school, my parents took over.
Indeed. I say indeed. You are a unique person. So, what type of food do you eat? Do you eat fufu and all those local food? Or do you even eat pepper? Or how do you eat? Or do
So
you drink?
lucky for me, my eating, my drinking, and we are establishing, my speaking wasn't affected. My speaking was. We'll get to that bit. But in terms of eating, I've never had an issue with eating. Eating's always, apart from when I was born, where they had to feed me through a drip. But growing up, I'm not quite sure how my mum managed to teach me how to eat. But all I remember is growing up, yeah, I was eating every and anything. Face the wall, banku, fufu, uh, brown rice, you name it.
Face the wall. So you face the wall, you eat konkonte.
Oh yes, gungunte.
La pewa, LPPY, la pewa. You eat and you
especially
eat it.
uh, especially as somebody, I used to when I was a child, I thought they were human feet. I told my dad explain, no, it's a yam. It's a form of yam.
So you eat basically everything. You eat meat as well. You
I
do
eat
everything.
meat. I eat live soup. I eat anything peppery. I'm a person that loves pepper. Shit, or you name it.
Do you drink alcohol?
Occasionally. So Christmas, birthdays, and then if I feel like I want to.
Did you drink alcohol when in Ghana? If someone dies, we drink. Mostly people drink a lot of alcohol. When Queen dies, did you drink any alcohol?
Uh, on that front, I would say diplomatically, it was sad that a human being died, but I got on with my day-to-day life.
That is much bit about your adult. Have you been to Ghana before?
Have I been to
Since
Ghana? Oh, since, yes. I went to Ghana in 2003, went to Ghana in 2010, and I went to Ghana in 2015.
oh, okay. How do you work? I mean, do you work and where do you work? And how
So,
do your colleagues see you?
so with my condition, a lot of people assume I don't work. A lot of people assume um, working should not be a part of my day-to-day natural living. However, I work. I used to work for the benefit system in this country. I also worked for
With
the
the council?
immigration office. No, that the benefits office was actually Department of Work and Pensions. So they deal with all types of benefits that support local people within different patches of the UK.
Okay.
Um,
And
I then worked for the tax office before my latter job of working for the Immigration Service Home Office.
so now you work with the immigration office
Now
at
I
home
work
office.
with the local authority. So I work with people who are vulnerable, single parents, disabled people, people with mental health, people who are homeless, all types of people. And
And how did your colleagues, I mean, see you? How did they
um,
react to you?
if I'm to go back to my first employment,
Mhm.
no one really bats an eyelid when I used to work in a phone shop selling mobile phones. No one really said anything to me. Uh, Disability in that time, we're talking about the late 90s, early
90s?
millennium, disability wasn't really a thing. It wasn't commercial. It wasn't, we had people who stood their ground and tried to fight the rights of disabled people, but it wasn't as it is now. Now you can't muck around with people with disability. We have a stronghold. But back then, my early career, no one saw me different. No one really approached me in a different way. If they did, they probably did it behind my back. Um, but as I grew within my employment world, I established that in employment, yes, I'm different. Um, and even that's where support, again, what I went through with my education, I had to go through the same ramifications in employment to work equally as my counterparts.
Is it?
Yep.
Then, as I said, you are unique. Keep watching Kwaminat TV, like, subscribe, and share. Um, this is a unique story. I'm talking to a unique person and also a unique story, having a unique voice. So everything about this gentleman is unique. Do you plan to come back to Ghana in the near future? Leave, or do you think you can do that? Because say you've been coming to Ghana very often, the way I see.
Uh, because I had the opportunity of living in Ghana, my my mindset, how I see the world, is very Pan African. So for me, physically I'm here, but mentally I'm back home. and I do see myself, going and coming. Unfortunately for me, I can't live in Ghana full time because of my health barriers. I have to come and go so that everything is safe and I can probably live to be 100. Um, but I would love to live in Ghana and live here. I'm not shutting my doors to Ghana because at the end of the day, as much as I'm born as a British citizen and you know, as Ghanaians will say, Bruni, Bruni,
Yeah,
Bruni, but
yeah.
I'm not Bruni because this country makes you realize you are actually a black person. The the institutional kind of inequalities of living in this country make you realize that you're not British. When you're young, yeah, I was telling people, yeah, I'm British, I'm black British. As I got older, I established that that's not the case. I'm black, I'm Ghanaian, and the quicker that I accept and learn my culture and accept that no matter where I go in the world, I'm Ghanaian. So I embrace my culture and I see myself, splitting my living arrangements in the future.
So you're planning to live in Ghana from time to time. Coming to live in Ghana, are you coming to rent, or you want to buy a house, or you want to buy a land, or you want to build, or how is the situation of you?
I've always had um or I've been having the mind to own my own property, but I wouldn't want to have something that's already been built. I want to put my own um, thought process, blood, sweat, and toil into building a house myself. I know physically I won't be able to do it, but mentally, the mind, the plan, the planning, the investment of funds, and getting people to help me do that is of very great interest to me. So I would love to have my own property built from the ground up, buying land, if I'm so blessed to do so in the future.
Are you married?
Yes.
You married?
In the eyes of the law, no. But
Okay.
I'm
You
committed.
have a partner. You
Yes.
committed. You have a partner.
Yes. Yes.
Is your partner also Ghanaian?
No.
African?
Caribbean.
Caribbean? So
Yes.
African. That's why I say African. What descent? Yeah. Because if it's not a Ghanaian, I'll mention another name. That's why I say African. That means a black, a colored person. I'll put it in this way.
Yeah.
So you told me behind camera that you have a company. What do you do?
So the company called Unique Abilities Limited was formed um, based on it and on a personal experience um, in one of my previous employments where I was directly discriminated by a manager who didn't quite understand how to work with a person of indifference. And I've been going through these kind of groundhog days with two or three employers who subconsciously made you feel that they were supporting you, but in reality, the support wasn't as significant as it should be. Um, so, based on that, I went through my own tribulations of tribunals, which is local courts, to be understood, supported, and given equal treatment within the workplace. As you can imagine, someone with an open airway, I get sick more than the average person. So within one of my roles, all I was asking for was extra days to manage my health, to be able to work and do my work effectively without having to worry of falling severely sick and not being able to work at all. The employer that I was with at the time wasn't able to support that, didn't understand why I needed extra time or extra um, adjustments to manage my health. We ended up going to court so that it could be explained in a legal context of why I needed support and how the company's framework of sick absence was a detriment to me rather than um, a type of benefit to me. So I learned a lot from that incident, and speeding up to another altercation where a line manager actually um, took hate towards me and scolded me for being a black person, scolded me for having a disability, and going into a platform and embarrassing me to the world. Now, that also really changed my thought process on how employers actually see, hear, and actually involve a person with disability. There is no respect, there is no vision or focus for a person with a disability, and I was made to feel inferior to my colleagues and counterpart. Unique Abilities was born on the principles of no matter your size, no matter your disability, no matter your gender, no matter your creed, you are a human being and you are respected and viewed and accepted for who you are in your unique authenticity. So that's the forming of unique ability with total capacity.
I can't. I'm short of words. Hey, I haven't seen you walking before. I know you say you walked and everything. Do you
Yeah.
run sometimes?
Oh yeah.
You
I even I even
exercise?
yeah, I slightly try to push myself to do gym because with my condition, as I'm getting older, the condition is getting worse on me. So if I don't keep up with exercise, it could have a detrimental impact on my body.
So you go to gym
From time to time. Not like your
from
average
time to
man, but from time to time.
yeah, yeah, time to time. Okay. In terms of cooking, what do you do? Do you cook, or it's like
Yes,
it's only your partner that cook? Like
I
if your
cook too.
partner cooks and your partner cook fufu, because I think you love fufu.
I I cook that. I cook for food. My partner is learning.
Okay, so you know how to cook all the Ghanaian food, jollof and all those. Because I love jollof a lot. I love
Yes, and
fufu, but I love jollof a lot.
the reason why I know how to cook that is because when I was in Ghana, my favorite lesson was agriculture, and within
Okay,
that lesson, we learned how to cook, we learned how to grow crops, we learned how to nurture crops. So living in Africa taught me how to be self-sufficient and how to do things from young.
let's come to your mom. Where's your mom now?
She's based over here.
Mom, we give you a thumbs up. You've done a unique work. Does it get to a certain time that your mom want to give up on you, or your parents want to give up on you?
Uh, for my mother, no, she never wanted to give up. For my father, it was more of if I'm going to suffer in my life, then maybe my existence wasn't meant to be. So one parent was up, another parent was going up and down in terms
Was
of
down.
thought process, and it was down. Down meaning,
But you were
but
born to live.
I was born. Oh, definitely, I was born to live.
Born to live.
Yep.
Okay, let's come to Ghana again. Let's come to Ghana. You want to build a house in Ghana. How will you even acquire land and all those things? Because behind closed door, you were saying something about land issues or sending someone. Tell us a bit about those.
Well, I have a vision of coming to Ghana and you know networking with people because that's the only way you can move around in Ghana. If you don't network, you don't move, and if you don't move, nothing can happen.
That's
So it's about coming to Ghana, living in the system or holidaying in the system for a couple of years or a year and a half, understanding how the economy is moving and understanding legislation surrounding acquiring land and um, how I could purchase a land for myself whilst being a diaspora.
when do you want to come?
Next year. Well, I would love to come right now. but but unfortunately that's not possible. So, we have to put planning in place. So I would say next year.
Okay. I think it would be nice for you to come to Ghana. What do you think about this ability system in Ghana? Like how people treat. How do you think in your within this your age now, and you know what you have over there? What can you also do to help other people also back here? Because if you say you are coming back home, there's also a couple of such people like disability or disadvantaged people here in Ghana or in Africa. What do you think
Mhm.
about what help can you? I think you know what I'm trying to. What can you do for them, or what can you do to
I think
help them or
first
to let them away?
I think firstly disability in Africa as a whole is a major learning curve for our nation, and Ghana as a whole in general. Disability is not really something that Africa is equipped for. Um, so I think it's more of understanding the stumbling blocks that Africa or Ghana are facing to support people with disabilities within a country such as Ghana, which is seen as a third world country, even though we are developing at a very fast rate. Um,
Yeah,
I think for me, it's starting off. If you want to, solve a problem, you've got to start from the head. They always say, if you want to end a war, you start with the snake's head. So it would have to be
have the head.
go go to the head, talk to the government, get their understanding and views of how disabled people are currently being supported, understanding why they're not being supported, why there's so many disabled people on Kumasi Kwai, why there's so many disabled people in Circle, why there's so many people with disabilities chucked out of their family home and just walking the streets without support, and why in villages disabled people are thrown in rivers because they're not seen as fully pledged human beings, or financially that family can't support them, so they just chuck them out. Or if they're a baby and they realize that there's some type of deformity, they pour poison in their mouth and they give them to the gods, as you know, it was explained in a documentary I watched called The Worst Place to Be Disabled, where the Ghanaian government allowed a British journalist to come into Ghana and to strip Ghana of its respectful image and turn around and say the worst place to be disabled was Ghana.
Is it? I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, there's a documentary, The
Have you
Worst Place
watched
to
that
Be.
documentary?
Yeah, you can get it on YouTube.
Wow.
The worst place to be disabled.
And what do you think? That's what BBC is saying. What do you think?
That's what the BBC is saying. But I
Yeah.
personally don't think it's the worst place. It's not a reasonable place because the structure isn't
But
there. But with structure, reasoning, less corruption in terms of where funding is going, I'm sure a structure can be put in place to support everyone with disabilities. Buildings in Africa need to be accessible to everybody. You can't have someone who has a disability and because of the disability they can't go to school. There's a gentleman that I used to speak to, a powerful advocate in Ghana, Mr. Ofori. Big up. Um, he told me that in his time of education, his friends used to leave him outside because he had limb problems. His friends used to leave him outside. They would go to school, come out when it's lunchtime, play with him, go back and study, and then when it's time to go home, they'll put him on their back and take him home. But within that period of the day, he hadn't entered the classroom. Why? Because there was no accessibility for him to put himself in the classroom.
we can go on and go on and go on and go on and go on. I think we'll have part two of the story because it's a unique story. This is a story that I think everyone has to hear. And Nana Mafo, Mr. Unique Voice, I thank you very much for being on my platform.
Thank you for having me.
I thank you very much to share this with Kwaminat TV audience or the family. And I think you need to keep on. You need to keep on. Let your voice hear. And anytime you call us, we'll be there. We'll be there. Oh, you said something about going to buy a land and someone was trying to. You said something about that, and I forgot to ask you how did it go?
Yeah, so I came across, a person that was, selling land and, you know, giving the impression that people from the diaspora can be supported. Um, in
Online?
my online, yes. Um, and lucky for me, you know, I'm a person that likes to research. I don't like to part with money or any form of knowledge without doing my own research on um, whether it be a company, an individual, or a state-run organization. Um, Long story short, what I was told and what actually happened in terms of me looking into land didn't materialize. Um, the adverts I saw and how I was made to feel support will be given along the way. When I sent people to investigate for me who live in Ghana, that wasn't the story or the case. That was regurgitated back to me. It was completely a different story, completely a different mix of words that, lucky for me, being strong-minded and taking my own precautions. If I hadn't have taken my own precautions, which I do, I probably could have been scammed and lost a lot of the Queen's head.
And it's not easy to come by.
It's not easy. Waking up at the crack of dawn, going to stand somewhere to earn a good day's living, and living that society don't deem me fit to receive because I'm disabled.
That is why we tell people that, I mean, everywhere, those people, diasporans, African descendants, anywhere that you are traveling to Ghana, Africa, not only Ghana, Africa, make your research just like Nana did before they scam you. They are trying to scam you. They don't care. Anytime, any moment, they are like hungry lions. They open their mouth to get whatever you had. Mostly people that in diaspora. Keep watching Kwaminat TV. Like, subscribe, and share. Leave comments on this interview. I don't say interview. This is conversations. We have talked a bit. I will let you go, and I'll definitely know that we will talk again.
Yes, you will.
Thank you, Mr. Marco. And guys, this is Diaspora Talk. Share your story. Let it educate someone. Let it encourage someone. And let it advise someone. I mean, whatever you have, a problem or an experience, share it like the way Nana is sharing his. Let it educate someone, as I said, and let other people also be part of your life. Keep watching Kwaminat TV. Like, subscribe, and share. I'm still the youngest old boy. And I love you all. Thank you for watching. Adios.